Making our highly anticipated return to the podcasting world, Money Mike and I are here to talk all of the big recent sports news. This is Another Damn Sports Podcast.
Welcome back to Another Damn Sports Podcast. It's been a little while. Drew, how are you doing?
I am doing okay. I am excited to finally do a show after all this time for all you social media addicted and coronavirus infected bastards. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, we've just been waiting on pins and needles if sports were ever going to come back. And the only thing I've been seeing other than NASCAR and golf is Korean baseball. I'll turn on Sports Center in the morning and they've got Korean baseball going, and I'm like, woo!
Yeah, some exciting stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of people betting on it too, which is horrible.
Yeah, well, it's getting the economy going.
Yeah, there you go.
So what we're planning to talk about today is the NBA is coming back towards the end of this month, and there were big NFL news where Cam Newton has signed a one-year deal with the New England Patriots. We're going to bring on our recurring guest who's a huge Patriots fan, Alex Dean, to get his thoughts, and I'm sure you're going to be very interested in what he has to say, because I talked to him a little bit before the show about what he thinks Cam Newton's going to do for New England, and I think it will surprise you compared to what a lot of people out there are saying.
Honestly, I just want to preface by saying screw that guy. Everybody hates Alex Dean.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I concur. So let's start with the NBA. The biggest really news before we get into the schedule starting where they're each going to play 8 games, there's some big news, especially for you as a fan of this guy. Vince Carter officially retired. We knew that this was coming because he said he was going to retire, but it was made official that he is not going to be part of this, 8-game play-in because the Atlanta Hawks just weren't good enough to be part of that. So this is the end of an era. No more players are playing that were drafted before 1999.
Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously, for the past few years, the biggest story around Vince Carter was the fact that he was just always around, and he's been the grizzled vet who started with some of the other greats in the NBA. It's like he was around when Kevin Garnett was first starting. He was around when Tim Duncan was first starting, all of the OGs, really. And for some reason, his play style really gravitated towards me. I love the fact that he was known as like the greatest dunker in the NBA, the greatest athlete in the NBA for a short period of time because of his knee injuries that he had to deal with later in his career. But during his heyday, there was probably, like, short of like Kobe Bryant, there probably wasn't another shooting guard in the NBA that was as exciting as him.
I don't think that there's ever even been in the history of the NBA a more exciting in-game dunker than Vince Carter. Like, things that he would do in-game versus, like, he was spectacular doing dunks, like in the dunk contest, or if, like, you put a video up of a guy dunking, he was still the best at that. But, like, actually in-game, like, the shows that he would put on night after night were spectacular. All those times in Toronto, followed by New Jersey. That was really when he was in his prime, was in those 2 locations. And it was just great to watch every single night that you get a chance.
Yeah, and growing up, I would basically have his highlight tapes on repeat, watching on YouTube. The dunk of him going over the 7-foot Australian guy in the Olympics, that's probably his most, like, amazing
Back
dunk.
when he had hair.
Yeah, that was very early in his career. And then obviously all of his dunks during the dunk contest. He's had some amazing 360 dunks in game. I remember during one of the All-Star games, he had like the perfect alley-oop off the backboard.
Yep.
It was just
Denver.
Yeah, it was such an incredible player to watch, and he was always by far my number one inspiration for me when I was playing basketball. Even though, like I said in my post, I was always the shortest and least athletic kid on the floor, but for some reason, Vince Carter was the guy that spoke to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can relate. I mean, the player that most spoke to me was Dirk Nowitzki because he was a tall, awkward white dude who could shoot.
See, that makes sense.
I like to think that I could shoot, even though sometimes I really couldn't. But
yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like, Dirk should be your guy. Like there was literally nobody else in the NBA that you should have based your game on. For me, like, my second favorite player was always Steve Nash. That makes more sense. But a guy like Vince Carter, he was just one of a kind.
Yeah, and I particularly was a fan of Vince Carter in his time in New Jersey because growing up in Syracuse, the 2 stations that we had that weren't like ESPN, ABC that played basketball games were MSG for the Knicks and Yes for the Nets. And I would always, like, if I was like working out or even when I was working on homework and stuff, I would put Yes on just to have something on in the background, and I would watch net games all the time because I hated the Knicks. So
Why would you hate the Knicks? They weren't even good.
I don't know. There was something about like because I'm a Red Sox fan. I guess I was just hating on a New York team for that reason, even though it makes no sense because I'm a Giants fan. I don't know. For some reason, growing up, I loved watching Nets versus Knicks games, and I was just root hard for the Nets, even though I grew up to be a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
It's just when I would watch those games, I'd root hard for the Nets, and they were a fun team to watch. You had Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, and Vince Carter, and it was always just disappointing to me that they would always just come up short in the playoffs. They'd seed pretty well. They'd be a top 4 seed in the East, but then would just get knocked out in the second round.
Yeah, like those Nets teams, I think were the best teams that Vince Carter was on. I mean,
Yeah.
I was actually just about to say he has been on so many teams in the NBA. I'm actually going to quiz you here. Can you name in order every single team that Vince Carter played for?
Okay, so first off, easy Toronto. Second one is the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
Third, and this is where I'll start to lose it.
3 in, jeez.
3 in. I think it was Orlando.
Yes.
Was third.
It was
okay, and then fourth was Dallas.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, he went from Orlando to Phoenix.
Phoenix. Okay, so
that was when he adopted the number 25, which was really odd.
It was sad. That was actually really sad because I would look at the roster and be like, 15 was available.
Yeah, and like if you see like all of my login names, everything that has to do with social media for me ends with 15, and that's because Vince Carter's number was 15, and it will still forever end in 15 because I just love that number. But after this, there you go.
Well, I was born on the 15th, so that's why I like 15. But
that also makes sense, and there's also Melo.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so after the Suns, he went to Dallas, then he went to Memphis. And then he went to the Kings.
Forgot he played for the Kings.
Yeah, that was for one season. And then he finished his career with the Atlanta Hawks. So,
yeah, the saddest thing about Vince Carter for me, I heard this on, I don't know if it was Golick and Wingo or if it was First Things First. It was while I was driving to work. And they said that there's a generation, our generation, who grew up knowing the Vince Carter who played in Toronto and New Jersey. But then there was the people who only knew Vince Carter playing as a role player on teams like Dallas and Memphis, Sacramento, and Atlanta. They don't know the Vince Carter all-star that we revere because he played for so long in the league.
I know. It was. I mean, he spanned 3 decades. That was always the crazy stat. It's such a long time.
Do you looking back, do you wish that he had over the last 10 years gone to teams that were competing for championships, or do you think that you like the fact that he went to teams where he would have more of a role because he loved playing the game?
Well, honestly, my NBA fandom, as well as the Vince Carter fandom, kind of died off once he went to Phoenix. There were a lot of years where I just didn't pay attention to the league. And I think if he played for a team that was relevant, like let's say a Miami back in the day, or the Spurs, or the Warriors, I think I would have watched the NBA more because he would have been more in the spotlight.
Yeah.
So yes, I do wish that he played for teams that were more relevant.
I wish that he and Tracy McGrady, who is his cousin, if you did not know, for those of you listening that did not know that, they both played in Toronto at the very start of their careers. I wish that they had both stayed there, and they would have dominated the East, because Tracy McGrady, I would argue between the two of them, when they were both at their best, I think was the better player. It's just Tracy McGrady had way too many injuries early on that took him out of the league. But that was a deadly combination between the two.
Yeah, Tracy McGrady is going to go down in history as one of the best scorers in the history of the NBA. In his heyday, during his prime, he would just put points on the board no matter what. But there's actually a really, really good documentary that actually showed Kristen not too long ago called The Carter Effect on Netflix. And it's basically all about the impact that Vince Carter had on Toronto. And it goes through that entire situation with Tracy McGrady and how Vince Carter was the one that was taking over the spotlight in Toronto. And Tracy McGrady was feeling like he was turning into the second fiddle at that point because he was so young and he hadn't really developed into the star player that he ended up being for the Magic and the Rockets. So they explained how he was like, I need to go. I need to have my own legacy, kind of similar to a Kobe Shaq thing.
That happens a lot in basketball, because that also happened in Minnesota with KG and Stephon Marbury. When they were there at the same time, KG was like the star of the team, and Stephon Marbury wanted to be the star, and that's when he went to go play for the Nets and then the Knicks. And so that happens in the NBA, because I think players have much more of an individual impact in a basketball team versus like a team like baseball or in hockey or in football. It's much more individual based and much more individual acclaim. So I can understand it from that standpoint. It just thinks that two such really good players couldn't, be on the same team and dominate. But at the same time, we're in that era now where all the good players are on the same team. So
yeah, I think that team could have at least competed for a chip. I think if they just stuck together for the amount of years that they should have.
Yeah.
And like you said, nowadays you see players like Kevin Durant leaving OKC because he doesn't want to be with Westbrook anymore. To even with the same team, James Harden as well. He's like, oh, I'm going to go and be my own star. Kyrie Irving leaving the Cavs to go to the Celtics. There's just all these players, they want to be the guy.
Well, and that's the thing. Kyrie Irving went to the Celtics, but then he realized he wasn't the guy. He was just one of the guys, and he didn't like that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely more ego in the NBA, but it's a bunch of the players are gonna get an opportunity this year to boast that ego and hopefully get their team a chip.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because a lot of talk is happening about this, this playoff structure where all these games are going to be in this little bubble in Orlando down in Disney World. In your opinion, no matter who wins this championship, is there an asterisk by it?
I know this is a hot debate among like NBA analysts and stuff, and I listen to the big podcast with Shaq every single week, and Shaq is adamant that this is another one of those asterisk seasons. Like he always says that Tim Duncan and the Spurs, they have an asterisk championship in like their group of championships.
In 1998, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the lockout or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. So he's like, this is another one of those where it's not a true championship. You have to play the full 82 games. You have to go through the stress and the craziness of a full NBA season for it to count as an actual championship.
Well, I know that there's a lot of people that are coming out, and I don't have proof of this. I just think it's a theory, is that this has been the first time in a few years where this is LeBron's best chance to win a championship. And I feel like the people who are really defending, saying, no, there's no asterisks here, are coming from the LeBron fandom camp, because LeBron's first championship against the Thunder, now they won in 5 games. They owned that series.
Yeah.
But it was on a shortened season that they won that finals, people forget.
Yeah.
Then he wins the second championship thanks to Ray Allen saving his Heine in Game 6.
And then he needed Kyrie Irving to save him against the Warriors.
7, yeah. So it's like there's always or the whole Draymond Green getting suspended thing. Like LeBron completely made Draymond Green get suspended because he stepped over him on purpose, knowing that Draymond Green would respond. Now, give LeBron the credit that that's a good competitive edge thing to do. Like, hey, we need to beat these guys, get any advantage I can. I'm going to piss this guy off enough to where he's going to get himself thrown out. Whatever. But still, I mean, I think that no matter who wins it, whether the Lakers win it, whether the Clippers win it, even if the Celtics win it, I'll even say the Celtics have 17 championships plus the COVID one.
The COVID championship, yeah.
The COVID championship.
Yeah.
Some players aren't even going to go down to the bubble. Like, the biggest name was Avery Bradley staying with his family because his son's high risk. And there are some other players that don't want to play because they feel like if they start playing basketball, it takes away from this, Black Lives Matter movement and the fight for social justice that's going on right now. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because I feel like if you're playing basketball and you're on TV, you're given an opportunity to speak towards the platform you're going to.
Yeah, you're given a platform.
Right. So I never understood that argument. I think the whole thing was that if we play basketball and we don't hold that back from society, our given talents, that they'll agree with our side and then we'll play. Kind of, I don't understand the logic to it. But I'll be honest, I'm not fully educated on their reasoning behind why they feel that way. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if you have a platform you're playing each night, there's still people interviewing you after the game.
There's going to be a microphone in your face for you to say basically whatever message you want to convey. And
right.
It sounds like the NBA is going to be all in on that message too, because I saw that they're going to be having Black Lives Matter on the court.
Right, exactly. And and you can still do like the warm-up shirts. Like, remember when they did the I Can't Breathe shirts for warming up? They could have warm-up shirts that say Black Lives Matter. They could say like justice for George Floyd. Mm-hmm. end to police brutality, whatever you want to do. They can kneel for the national anthem because they're going to be on camera.
There you go.
You know,
yeah.
there are all these different things where they can still play the game that they love, bring sports back to the world for our entertainment, but also bring a messaging that's important right now that people are calling for.
And it's just from a business standpoint, this is huge for the NBA, for both a business standpoint and for a platform social justice standpoint, because it's going to be the only mainstream sport that's on.
Yeah.
Since when? I feel like the NBA's popularity has kind of tapered since maybe the early 2000s. I mean, I could be wrong, but I could just be judging off of my own bias. But I just feel like since the NBA is going to be all that's on, there's going to be so many more people watching than there used to be.
Exactly. And we didn't get March Madness this year. So people are aching to watch basketball that actually means something. And the NBA, I will argue, is the most entertaining when it's the playoffs. The regular season to me is not entertaining at all because it doesn't look like the guys always take it seriously. They only step up on nights where it's where they're playing against their biggest competition. When it's James Harden versus Steph Curry, they both go all at it because they want to be better than the other guy on the other side. But when it's it's not Vince Carter. I'm saying the Atlanta Hawks versus, the Lakers. Does LeBron really go all out for that game? No.
He'll play the first two quarters. That's basically it.
Yeah. So, this is going to be great for the NBA because this is where they're going to be playing competitive basketball the entire time because all 8 games matter for most of the teams that are going down there, except for the teams in each conference that are a top 4 seed. The 8 games really don't matter unless you're 1 game ahead of the team. Basically you're determining your matchup, the amount of effort you put in. But then it's the playoffs, and every game matters in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I can thank. There's a lot of things I can thank sports gambling for. Thank you, Pat McMahon. But there's one thing I can thank sports gambling for is the fact that I am now way all in back in the NBA, and the fact that last year's playoffs was so much fun to watch, not just because I was gambling on the games, but the Raptors and Sixers, that entire series was so much fun to watch. And I've rewatched Kawhi's game winner so many times, the 4 bounces and everything. If they can recreate that magic for this year's playoffs too, then the NBA's popularity is going to skyrocket because everybody's going to be watching.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to be weird seeing big moments in game without fans there. Cause one of the greatest things is when a big shot or a big thing happens in the game and you hear the crowd's reaction to it.
Yeah.
We don't watch these games to watch the crowd or anything like that, but
it adds so much to it.
Think about Kawhi's shot right there. How much better is the moment made because the fans, they're in Toronto and they all just go nuts.
Yeah. Well, the greatest part about that video, too, is the fact that when the ball is bouncing on the rim, you can just see everybody in the stadium is just standing there still, silent with their mouth open, just watching, waiting for what happens. It's a good 2 seconds of just craziness. And then they just blow up.
Yeah, even Kawhi, he goes and he kind of ducks down to get a better view of it.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the type of moments that make the NBA playoffs worth watching and make the playoffs so much better than the regular season.
Is there, because Vince Carter's not involved, is there a team that you're pulling for that's left? Is there a team you would like to see win?
Honestly, no. There's no team in the NBA that I'd root for over the others, really. For years, it's just been, I just don't want the Warriors to win. Now that the Warriors aren't really
they're not even there.
yeah, they're not even invited. It's who the hell am I going to root for? So let's see. I don't want the Celtics to win.
You don't want to hear me. You don't want to hear me get excited about it. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. The Rockets are always an interesting team, and James Harden is kind of annoying in terms of his play style.
Did you see that video that Russell Westbrook did where they were practicing and Russell Westbrook imitated his step back, but went 30 feet back, just doing the step back over and over again and shot the ball?
I didn't see that, but that's hilarious. It's so
and
true.
James Harden's watching it going.
Yeah, so we got those guys. You got both LA teams. I guess maybe the Clippers, underdog team. I like Kawhi Leonard, and you just never see the Clippers really do anything. So it's nice to see a new team in there. So I'll say the Clippers.
In their franchise history, they've never made it to the Western Conference Finals.
There you go. See, I'm always rooting for an underdog.
Not once. So it's really kind of interesting that they're a favorite. And I think we're getting cheated out of the fact that I was really looking forward to a Western Conference Finals between the Lakers and the Clippers where every game was at Staples. I thought that would have been really epic and awesome to see, and hopefully we'll get that next year if we can go back to normal sports. I mean, another team I root for in the Western Conference because they play such a great basketball in the regular season, but they don't have a superstar is the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're always go under the radar. I honestly forgot about them.
Right, they're a forgetful team, and I always have a soft spot for the Dallas Mavericks out west because they had Dirk, so I rooted for them for so many years and now. I think they're a good young team to root for, and they're going to be a low seed playing against the Clippers or the Lakers, and then I think Ja Morant is somebody that's fun to root for in Memphis.
And then of course Zion too. I'm excited to watch him.
The NBA is so hoping that the Pelicans make that 8th spot. That is what they are banking on. That's why they made it 8 games. That's why they're even there. We got to get Zion into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get it. Like people are gonna watch if Zion's in the playoffs as opposed to Ja Morant. As great as Ja Morant is, he's not as big of a name.
Right. Well, if you watch any Pelicans games, watch out for like any calls where it's like foul on number 32. I'm on the other side of the court.
He's not. Yeah, that's so true. The refs are probably gonna fix the games, and we're gonna have another Tim Donaghy situation.
Just the Pelicans games. None of the other games will be rigged, just those ones.
Exactly. Now, Mike, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Can you name every single team, the dumpster of the league, that was not invited to Orlando?
I mean, if I pull up my screen here, I could in seconds, but I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
I'm gonna do the honorable thing.
Yeah, don't cheat.
Okay, so Golden State.
Okay.
Atlanta.
Yep.
Because there were, 8 teams that didn't get included?
Yep, there are 8 teams.
Okay. So Golden State, Atlanta, the New York Knicks, the Sacramento Queens.
No, actually, they were. Come on,
were.
Mike, what the hell are you doing?
I'm sorry.
No, the Kings have been decent, I feel like. Like, they haven't been amazing, but it's just because they're in the West.
Since I already got it wrong, I pulled it up. Okay, so the only ones in the West, the only 2 in the West were the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Warriors.
It's mostly East teams.
Yeah, well, the East is terrible.
Yeah.
Cleveland stinks, and Chicago, and I heard a stat that they've only made the playoffs 5 times since Michael Jordan left in 1998.
Oh my gosh! So those are just the Derrick Rose years, huh?
And they only made the playoffs before Michael Jordan 3 times in their franchise history before he got there.
Yeah, they were so bad before him too. Like, it's just that one little period, and then the rest of their history is just garbage.
Well, it's just like it shows the impact of Michael Jordan. They reverted back to who they were after he was gone.
Yeah. What do you think of The Last Dance?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I didn't understand what Michael Jordan said about how like people are going to watch this and feel differently about me or think I'm a bad guy, and I didn't take that viewpoint away. I thought it was really great, and Michael Jordan was somebody who had high expectations for the people around him because he was such a great player, and he expected everyone to kind of put in the same effort that he did. He was such a competitive guy. He was all focused on just winning everything at all costs.
Let's think of it this way. I think Michael Jordan said that as a marketing ploy because he's like, if I talk about how I'm going to come off as such a dick in this documentary, everybody's going to watch this thing because everybody wants to see some like a hero of theirs, like the dark side of them. That's such a draw. But no, I thought it was amazing too. And the biggest shock for me is I did not know how his dad died. It was so horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I never knew he was murdered.
There are theories that it's tied to his gambling addiction, that he got in too deep with the wrong people, and that was a theory that was out there for a while. That was never fully proven, but yeah, it's awful. It was absolutely awful the way that he lost his father, and because his father was just so impactful and important to him, and then to the fact that it's capped off with the next championship that he won after that was concluded on Father's Day.
It's pretty incredible. I wonder if his father didn't die, if he would have retired. I don't think he would have.
I don't know. He claims that he was losing the love for the game before his father died.
Yeah, that's true.
He was losing the motivation, and that he had told his dad he wanted to go play baseball. And his dad wanted him to play baseball because his dad loved baseball.
That's true. He probably would have felt even more encouraged if his dad was around.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if I don't know. It's an alternate universe where I just wish that, that didn't happen, because his dad was a young enough guy that he probably would still be alive today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, it's a shame, but the entire documentary was incredible. Even Kristen watched the whole thing with me, and she loved it. So it was definitely.
Did she turn and just like stare at you during all the gambling moments when they were talking about his gambling addiction?
No, she didn't. But what was funny was when they were talking about that whole thing, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, it's not like gambling $10,000 for me was like chump change." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess that really isn't a problem." Like I was talking about how like, "Oh, his gambling's fine, no big deal." And I was like, "Wait a minute, like this is the stuff I used to say. Like I'm only losing like $10 here, $20 here. It's no big deal." That's how it gets to a point that's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, you and I both have. I mean, you've been playing golf longer than I have, but he would gamble like every hole he would play on the golf course, not just the score at the end, like every single like. And I'm like, man, I know I've hit some good shots, but I've hit some really bad shots. And if I made a bet right beforehand and I screwed it up, like I would just you're already aggravated enough after a bad shot. You don't want to lose $50,000 afterwards.
Well, Mike, that just shows the difference between Michael Gilchrist and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan welcomes the pressure.
I certainly don't. Not on the golf course. I need to be as pressure free as possible.
Exactly. But what were we talking about? Oh, yeah, we were talking about how bad the Bulls were. Oh, was that leading into anything else? I don't remember.
No, it's just like we were talking about the teams that weren't included in the bubble bash that's going to be going on.
The bubble bash, I like that. They should do the bubble bowl.
Yes. I think for the NBA Finals, they have to have it every single halftime. Have that performance from SpongeBob.
Sweet victory. Damn right.
Yeah.
Man.
But there was a petition that they wanted that to be played at halftime of this past Super Bowl.
Yeah, and they got a lot of signatures, but they would never do that. Like
no, never.
Pepsi would never be like, "Oh yeah, this is the song we're gonna sing."
Yeah, I mean, maybe they would do it where they would reenact it with somebody that they paid to like perform, but not the actual just clip from SpongeBob.
I think
halftime speech, just during halftime, put it on mute and put it on your phone.
That's true. Could do that, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the next couple of years, if the call for it keeps going, if they're just gonna like sneak in a little reference to it during like one of their performances, just to like appease everybody.
They might. I'm excited that basketball is going to be coming back, and I really am looking forward to. I'm more looking forward to just the playoffs and these 8 games that are going to be playing. But the 8 games is just going to be like a nice refresher to like get people back into watching sports again. And so it's just gonna be nice to come home from work and be able to turn on a Sports Center or and they actually have highlights, and you can actually turn on TNT and there'll be a game on and all that stuff. So I'm really most excited about that. Just feel that sense of normalcy, even though they're all playing in one spot.
I'm most excited about putting my life savings on the over.
There you go.
No, I'm just kidding.
Who has student loans and a wedding to pay for? Not you. So who cares?
No, my gambling addiction is it's under control because there's nothing to gamble on.
I was gonna say, what can you gamble on? When sports are coming back?
Yeah, that's true. Could do that. I know the Premier League's been on. UFC is
NASCAR.
Every other weekend, NASCAR. So there have been things that I could bet on, but like basketball and football are my forte, and neither of those have been going on. So,
well, your best sport, correct me if I'm wrong here, but your highest success rate is in WNBA basketball.
It is actually,
and they're not playing.
Sense. Yeah, no WNBA. Jesus Christ! Thanks for reminding me about that, Mike. Now I'm gonna have to dive right back in when that comes back. Oh man. All right. Well, maybe why don't we move on and see if Mr. Alex Dean wants to join us on the show.
Sounds good.
All right. So we are bringing back one of our favorite guests, one of our most exciting guests, and one of our most opinionated guests, Mr. Alex Dean.
Hello. The most opinionated. I'll take it.
Yeah.
One of the most.
No, we're going to say the most. My opinion is it's the most.
If you're talking about movies, you're definitely the most.
It's not my fault they're all bad, okay?
Yeah, Alex Dean is the ultimate movie critic, but he is also the ultimate New England Patriots fan. And as all of us know, the only football news that we have seen in the past few months is that Cam Newton was signed to the New England Patriots to potentially take the starting job in the post-Tom Brady era.
Potentially is the key there, Drew.
Oh, okay. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, Alex, what was your first initial thoughts when Cam Newton signs a 1-year deal with New England?
My initial reaction was big deal. Stidham's still the guy. And to a large extent, I do still think it's his job to lose. The problem is with such a shortened preseason, I think a veteran can just step in a little better. So it does make sense in that case, I guess. But I still believe in Jarrett Stidham. He had a better rookie year than Garoppolo, than Jacoby Brissett, than pretty much any rookie has ever had under Belichick. So he's still on track to be the starter as far as I'm concerned. But with a shorter preseason, I could see them using Cam Newton for part of it.
Okay. Yeah,
you also have to – go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, everybody seemed to be jumping to conclusions that Cam was going to just walk in and now be the guy. But I read that he was not.
He wasn't promised anything as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And when Brian Hoyer was signed, he was promised competition to the starting role. So, I mean, it is going to be a three-way competition, but I think Stidham's got the leg up at the moment. It's going to depend. If he struggles a little bit in the start of preseason, then I think maybe they use the veteran. I do think this is bad news for Brian Hoyer, but who really cares?
So. Now you said that was your initial thoughts. Have you changed your mind since then?
I have a little bit. Like I said, they're going to be less prepared. And also Cam fits the offense Belichick has made a little bit better. They're going to run the ball a lot this year. That's the key. That was the plan last year with Brady, but the entire offensive line got hurt. James Devlin got hurt. Their backup fullback got hurt. When does that happen? So, yeah, they're going to run the ball, and Cam fits that a little bit better to run the ball. You can do play action. You can do anything at that point. So I still think as far as throwing, Jarrett's got a better shot at it, but I think with the plan to run the ball, I can see them using Cam Newton. Part of what you got to remember is Belichick didn't just go out and get Cam Newton saying it was the guy he wanted. It was literally he made the team he wanted, Belichick, with everybody, and then they said, hey, this Cam Newton guy's still sitting there. What we got left? $1 million? Let's give him $1 million. Give it a shot. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing says he makes the team. It'd be stupid for him not to make the team, but I still think he does.
I just think some people are underselling this move more than I think they should. Like Cam Newton 2 years ago.
You think I'm underselling it, Drew?
No, not just you.
The public in general.
Yeah, the public in general. Like I'm seeing Bills fans all over Twitter saying like, "Oh, like this doesn't mean anything. We're still going to win the division and all that stuff."
Have you seen Cam Newton's workout videos? The dude is jacked, and he has the biggest chip on his shoulder right now.
Exactly.
So if he gets a chance, he's going to get a chance. That's the other reason why I think he might end up playing over Stidham. It's incentive based, all the deal and everything, but Patriots always give him an opportunity to reach those incentives. I mean, even when players come close by like a couple tackles, they tend to pay out anyway.
And I just don't understand. Like Cam Newton was an MVP not that long ago. Like, and he was.
Yeah, so we have two MVP caliber quarterbacks on the roster, Drew. Two.
Dude,
Jarrett Stidham and now Cam Newton.
I don't understand this fascination with Jarrett Stidham. Like, I don't understand if you're trolling us or not.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I love Jarrett Stidham. Watch us play. Belichick loves Jarrett Stidham. Watch him play. He's good.
Okay, I mean, if he is, that's great. But I just feel like this is a bunch of blind loyalty to this guy. Like, he has no body of work to base it off of.
He's got one preseason worth of stuff, which was better than Garoppolo's. Like, look at it this way. If you had Cam Newton and Jimmy Garoppolo on the same team, would you be telling me you don't have two MVP caliber quarterbacks? Yes. Although after watching him in the Super Bowl, yeah, I guess I would say that about Jimmy now. But still, Jarrett is better than Jimmy. Jarrett is better than Jimmy.
Okay, if that's the case, that's still a pretty low bar. But hey, kudos to you for having confidence in your quarterback.
Low bar. They paid Jimmy a lot of money.
But look at the weapons that Jimmy Garoppolo has around him. Like, who are the weapons in New England right now? They don't even have a tight end.
We drafted two stud tight ends. Did you see that?
Well,
two stud.
Nobody work proven yet, Alex. The college is
go look up Dalton Nee's highlights. The kid is ridiculous.
Rookie tight ends never work out.
Go look up the highlights.
It's hard to be a rookie tight end.
Rob
in the
Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez lit it up as rookie tight ends, and we got two players that look a lot like them.
Okay.
I'm not worried about tight end anymore. I'm not at all.
What about receiver?
Dalton Neek can block really well, and that's what we drafted him for.
What about receiver?
We don't need a receiver as that. We have plenty of receivers. Julian Edelman is an MVP. I'm sorry. He's a future Hall of Famer, and he's looking to prove that he doesn't just need Brady. He's literally said that. Mohamed Sanu is really good. He's got the playbook now. He's not hurt anymore. He looks ridiculous in his training videos if you've seen him. He's trained with Cam Newton in the past, so they've got that.
It's
Who's after
just
him?
so interesting to see you in this position.
N'Keal Harry also got hurt. I'm not worried about the receivers. Never have. I wasn't worried last year. I'm not worried this year.
Now you had said on our show that you after Tom Brady had left for Tampa Bay, you said that the Patriots were still going to make the playoffs and potentially win the division, or you did say they were going to win the division. I can't remember. Now that they've added Cam Newton,
I said they're going to win the division because they're definitely going to win the division now.
Okay, so you're definitely confident that if it's Cam Newton or Jarrett Stidham, whoever is the quarterback, they're winning the division over Buffalo.
Yeah, unless both of them get hurt, then yes. And even then, like I said, the plan is to run the ball. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. That's exactly what we're going to do. We have a stud defense, and we have some stud running backs. Even if Sony Michel's not good to go at the start of the season, we got Damian Harris.
No, I did say it to Kristen right when this happened. I was like, oh, you guys are fucked.
Did you cry a little bit?
No, but I was like, Cam Newton is basically just a better version of Josh Allen. Like kind of inaccurate, big quarterback who can run.
I don't think he's all that inaccurate, to be fair. I mean, he's not like Tom Brady accurate, but
Ooh, Josh Allen or Cam?
Cam.
Okay,
Cam
I thought you were
Newton
saying
is
Josh
far
Allen.
more accurate than Josh Allen. No, Josh Allen.
Go.
I mean, he's an athlete. Don't get me wrong. Josh Allen's an athlete, but he's not super accurate with the ball.
Well, there you go. Better version of Josh.
You're right, though. You could say the same about Cam, I guess.
Yeah. Well, because the thing with Cam is he throws
going to be a better fantasy quarterback than Jarrett Stidham would be.
Yes, I would rather have Cam as my fantasy quarterback. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
One thing it's looking an awful lot like my self-made Madden team right now. Cam Newton is usually my Patriots quarterback.
There you go.
But that's just because Brady's old and you don't want an old player in Madden.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I don't know. I never have success. I don't like playing with Cam Newton in Madden for some reason. I don't know. He's just not a guy I like to use.
Because he's not
Eli
Manning.
You just want to run back is really what it is.
I don't usually run with my quarterback in Madden. I don't like to. I like to.
Well, then you're not playing right, Mike.
I win all the time.
Yeah, the best Madden player I've ever met is not playing the game right.
Hey, you guys are telling me I'm too opinionated. I'm just giving you my opinion.
All right, fair enough. Fair. I didn't say you're too opinionated. I just said you're the most opinionated person.
Okay, I'll take it.
All right, so we've established that you think that the Patriots are going to win the division. Now, here's an interesting question for you. Who's going to have a better record? If Cam is the starter, this is pending if Cam's the starter of the Patriots. Who would have a better record this year? Cam Newton starting for New England or Tom Brady down in Tampa Bay? Who's going to have a better record this season?
Jacksonville.
With Jacksonville, what? I'm going to have to say I think Cam Newton, mainly because I think Tampa Bay has got a pretty tough schedule if I've looked at it. I don't know, but I just know that the teams in their division are all pretty stout. So I'm going to go with Newton.
Okay.
Yeah, like honestly, that's the argument to make.
So, I mean, I don't really see how you could view it any other way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it is also the flip of a coin at that point.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, I honestly, I think I agree with you too, Alex. I was all in on the Bucks when we were going over like how we think the season's going to pan out. But now that they have Cam Newton, like I wouldn't be surprised if they're as successful as the Patriots of old.
I mean, the Bucks look really good on paper. They've got a good defense from last year. They've obviously got receivers and now Brady. I guess the real question is going to be Brady. But
yeah, like Brady has.
I was confident with the receivers last year, and Brady couldn't do anything. So I've been a little bullish on Brady moving over.
Well,
we'll
Brady
see.
He had the one game with Antonio Brown, and he had a stud receiver, and he went off in that game.
Yeah, wasn't it
That's
against
true.
the fucking
I guess
Dolphins?
there's rumors that Tampa Bay is going to sign Antonio Brown. Did you talk about that?
I don't think that's a chance that's going to happen. I saw that rumor today too, and I was like, no, there's no way they're going to take the risk on that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, but you never know. The reason I say Brady might struggle is because statistically, all quarterbacks have struggled their first year in a Bruce Arians offense. It is a hard offense to learn. That being said, it's probably going to be tailored towards what Brady likes anyway. So It's not really a Bruce Arians offense.
Yeah, and no quarterback has a bigger work ethic than Tom Brady. No one.
That's true.
So if anybody can pick it up in 1 year, it's Tom Brady.
Have you seen Cam Newton working out? That dude is shredded.
I have seen. He looks jacked. So it's just a matter of it.
And dodging a punching bag or whatever.
Yeah, it's just a matter of if he's in game shape. I think there's a difference between being in shape and being in like NFL game shape because you don't want to risk getting injured.
Years. I mean, he's finally not hurt. Ron Rivera said it himself. We have a healthy Cam Newton, we win. We didn't have a healthy Cam Newton, and he got fired. So.
Yeah. No, if Cam Newton comes back and is like the 2015 Cam Newton and the Patriots go on this like 13-3 season, just everyone's going to throw their hands up and be like, what the fuck? We were hoping the Patriots were going to be bad this year, and now they're not.
That's what I think is funny. You guys all counted us out. Even without Cam Newton, I wasn't counting us out.
I said on our show.
It really comes down to I believe in Belichick. Belichick's going to put the best player in there, whether it's Stidham or Cam Newton.
Alex, when we broke down the schedule of every team for next year, I said that the Patriots are going to be last in the division and go 4-12. I'm like, no, they're going to stink. They're going to be terrible. They're just going to fall apart.
That's what a lot of people said, but
yeah.
I don't see it. One of these two quarterbacks is going to be a stud. They're both studs as far as I'm concerned, but one of them is going to play. I guess the reason I lead towards Cam is those incentives. So Patriots always give him a chance to hit the incentives. I haven't seen what the incentives are. I know it's $6 million worth, but I mean it's got to be throwing based, I assume.
Yeah.
So really, the entire NFL should be mad at teams like the Browns or the Jacksonville Jaguars for not signing Cam Newton, because it's not like we went out and got him. He literally was sitting there.
Maybe he didn't want to come to Jacksonville.
What do you say to that? Apparently, so the only team to reach out other than New England was the Browns. And I understand why he didn't want to go to the Browns. But apparently Jacksonville wasn't even, like, on the list of considering him. Well, I think they're tanking.
All in on Gardner Minshew.
Personally. I like Gardner Minshew as a person. He sells jerseys. He's a cool dude. I love the jorts. But he's not going to bring you to the Super Bowl.
Especially not by himself. Our roster is garbage.
You got Leonard Fournette. He doesn't even want to be there. So
exactly. Like the team is in shambles. Honestly, I'm fine if we just tank the season and get Trevor Lawrence next year and try that out. But I'm still not going to be confident.
You're not get Trevor Lawrence though. You're going to get like second overall pick.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to be super
sad. Some team's
going
to come in and be like, "What the fuck."
No, the worst that could happen is if the Jags have the opportunity to get Trevor Lawrence and they pass on him and they get someone else.
Dude, I would just
you never know.
That would be such a Jacksonville thing to do.
But they were saying the same thing about the Bengals this year, and they didn't bungle it. So
true.
Yeah.
Well, you know who did bungle was the fact that the Cowboys signed Dak Prescott to a franchise tag. Because who knows why they want to pay him that much money? What do you think, Alex?
I mean, I think the franchise tag's fine. What else are you going to do? I mean, this dude retired Tony Romo. I know I say Dak Prescott's bad at football, but you got to sign him. What else were they going to do? I mean, to be fair, I would have ripped the franchise tag up and signed Cam Newton, but they didn't do that. So,
well, they had Andy Dalton.
Theoretically have 15 days to do a contract extension for Dak. I think that's probably the plan. But if not, he'll play on the franchise tag, and who knows? Everything's up in the air for next year. The salary cap could change everything.
Yeah, well, Dak, now that he's got the franchise tag, he can't hold out and miss mini camps and things like that. But he lost a lot of leverage when they signed Andy Dalton because he was going to hold out and everything like that. He said he was not signing a franchise tag.
Yeah, so Dak Prescott's not even the best quarterback on the Cowboys anymore. So don't really know what the point is.
I agree. I love Andy Dalton. I think he's criminally underrated.
The Red Rifle.
Yeah.
He ain't bad. He's just been playing for the Bungles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope it all ends badly for Dallas. I want them to overpay Dak because I want them to not have any money to pay any other players, and then they'll just tank and be terrible, and that will be great for me. So.
Well, that's because the Giants got to win somehow.
Yeah. Well, hey, You were talking about Jarrett Stidham. Daniel Jones is going to be way better than Stidham. So
Jarrett Jones is not Jarrett Stidham. I'll tell you that right now.
Danny
Stidham is
better.
the best quarterback in that draft class. Probably not. I can't remember who else is in that draft class, but
This is
Danny
nuts.
Dimes is good. Well, there's Daniel Jones. There's
put it this way. If you put Stidham in the last
after
draft class, he would have gone right after Tua.
Yeah. Well,
This is the most defense I've ever heard made for someone who has zero basis.
If Jarrett Stidham sucks his entire career, you can bring me back on and I'll apologize. I'll eat my words, but it's not going to happen. Jarrett Stidham's the man. Bill Belichick loves Jarrett Stidham, and Bill Belichick's not wrong.
Right after this interview, Alex, I want you to download the NFL app and go to the NFLshop.com and purchase your Stidham jersey to, parade around in, because you're all.
I don't even have a Brady jersey. I'm not going to do that. LeGarrette Blount all the way. That's my jersey.
Dude, when I used to defend Blake Bortles, I used to at least bring up his padded garbage time stats. You don't even have that to use as a defense for Jared Stidham.
I have
his only stats were the pick sixes he threw against the Jets.
A Patriots rookie has ever had. The kid can sling the ball.
How many good Patriots rookies have the Patriots had? Just Tom Brady, basically.
This includes Tom Brady's rookie season, by the way. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jacoby Brissett was a starter. Matt Castle went on to start. Brian Hoyer went on to start. Ryan Mallett went on to start for other teams. I'm sorry you guys just keep picking up our second stringers.
Just listen to that amazing list of quarterbacks.
There's a reason why every single time the Patriots drop somebody, they immediately are claimed it on someone else's roster.
Yeah,
there's a reason for that.
Well, they get
Bill Belichick knows what he's doing.
All right.
Okay, the only reason we cut cornerbacks last year is because we had too many. You can't fit 9 on a roster. We only went with 7. We traded 2 to the Texans and someone. Keenan Crosby's the fastest quarterback in the league, and he didn't fit our roster. So
it's just so interesting to watch you during this transition phase into being a normal NFL fan.
This is my football. This is what I love about football. I don't need to watch the games, at least not the regular season once playoff starts.
You're going to have to watch them now because it's not a done deal that you guys are going to win the division anymore.
I mean, I'm going to watch them just to see because it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, no, it's still a done deal. We're going to playoffs.
Okay.
We're going to I'm going to say at least the AFC Championship game. It's hard to say you're going to beat the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs can turn it on in an instant. They could be losing in the last 2 minutes and still score 40 points. So,
well, wait a minute, Alex. So if you're saying you're going to go to the AFC Championship, that would mean that you are most likely playing Baltimore in the second round. And even with Tom Brady, you guys struggled against Baltimore in the playoffs.
I think Baltimore takes a bit of a step back this year. I know, Jackson is still good and everything, but the defense is more my concern. They lost it's Nada, right? He's a big part of that defense. I think it's going to hurt him most people think. Hurt him more than most people think.
Are you worried about
that?
Pittsburgh?
Makes sense, right? Haloti Nada, that's who they lost?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Pittsburgh, but I think Pittsburgh's going to be better than last year. I mean, Big Ben's coming back. He had Tommy John surgery, so theoretically his arm is stronger. They fixed most of their problems on defense. So
what about the team that eliminated
you
last year?
I'm not worried about losing to them. I'm sorry, what, Mike?
What about Tennessee? They eliminated you last year.
No, that was one trick pony. We figured them out. Belichick ain't gonna let that happen again.
Tom Brady's last pass as a Patriot is a pick 6.
That's fine.
All right,
whatever.
Well, you guys haven't mentioned one team that the Patriots still need to get by. Jacksonville.
Yeah.
We talked about Jacksonville, Drew. They got Gardner Minshew in his jorts.
Yeah, but you really think Jarrett Stidham and the Patriots can get by
someone wearing jorts?
What?
Can he wear those on the field? Is that field legal?
No.
I'd vote for it. I'd allow it.
I mean, so here's the Patriots' schedule. They start the season with a home game against Miami, which the last time you played at home against Miami, you lost.
It's true, but
and you lost the number 2 seed in as a result.
That's the one instance where not having Tom Brady is going to help because Tom Brady can never beat the Dolphins twice in a season.
What's his face? I'm having a brain fart. The fucking Harvard hillbilly.
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I mean, Fitzmagic pulls one out of his ass every once in a while. That's why I love the guy. He's not a bad quarterback. I'd be happy if he was our quarterback. Fitzmagic, he loved playing football. He's going to win a game or two.
Here are your first 5 games. Miami at home, at Seattle, at home versus the Las Vegas Raiders, the now new Las Vegas Raiders. At Kansas City, so you're going to Patrick Mahomes. He's not coming to you. And then versus a Denver team that's going to be a lot improved this year. So after 5 games, what are you guys going to be, 3-2?
I'm going to say 3-2 probably. I can see us maybe beating Seattle. I see us maybe beating the Chiefs, but I doubt it.
But you definitely think you'll beat Miami, the Raiders, and the Broncos.
Raiders and Broncos, yes.
Those 3 home games.
Miami, just because they tend to be our Achilles heel. And, I mean, obviously Flores knows our offense pretty well. But
yeah, I think New England's schedule is tougher than you might give it credit for because they have to go to
I do think it's tough, but you remember we play the Bills twice a year. Those are wins. We play the Jets. The Jets aren't going to beat us.
I agree there. The Jets won't beat you.
I mean, they'll be better than last year as long as Sam Darnold doesn't go making out with teenagers again, getting mono.
Week 7, you got to play Jimmy G.
That's fine.
He's coming back to New England to play.
I like Jimmy G, but when the game was on the line, Jimmy G missed his throw. So
it's true. He had a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl, and he lost.
And he missed his throw. So
yeah. But you know what you got to do? You got to get Cooper a Stidham jersey. Since you don't have your Tom Brady jersey, get Cooper the Stidham jersey. They make jerseys for dogs.
Maybe I could. I definitely could. I still want to get a Tom Brady, Tampa Bay, not the Buccaneers. What's their other team? The green one from the XFL.
Oh,
Vipers. I want to get a Brady Vipers jersey.
Is that a thing?
No, but you can make it a thing.
What about you can get him a shirt that says Tampa Bay.
Tampa?
Yeah,
maybe.
It's Tom Brady wearing like the Buccaneers hat and their old original logo.
I'd be surprised if they didn't already have that somewhere.
No, they do.
They plastered TB12.
I didn't make that up. That's a real thing.
Mike wouldn't be able to come up with that.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to buy it, but maybe. I've got my LeGarrette Blount jersey, and that's all I need. Pass the Blount, dude. Pass the Blount.
I was going to say that Tom Brady jersey you have probably doesn't even fit you. It probably would fit me.
Yeah, I guess I do have the Tom Brady jersey my parents bought me when I was 8, and it still looks like a threat. I did not grow into it. I did not.
All right. Well, I think that's the perfect place to stop. Now that we know Alex's Patriots wardrobe.
With my embarrassment. Thank you, Drew.
You're very welcome. Appreciate you coming on, Alex. We always appreciate your opinionatedness, if that's a word.
Thank you guys for having me. I love being the most opinionated.
Yeah.
I'm going to go watch a shitty movie or something.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, go watch your favorite movie, Man of Steel.
That was a terrible movie, Mike.
That movie sucked.
Even you would say that. So
it's not great.
Exactly.
All right, man. Have a good one.
All right. See you guys.
See you, Alex.